President Volodymyr Zelensky has been to the recaptured city of Izium, a key logistics hub in northeastern Ukraine. During his visit, Mr. Zelensky thanked troops who took part in the counterattack against Russian occupiers. He oversaw a flag-raising ceremony and said the Ukrainian flag would return to every city and village in the country. Ukrainian officials say they are targeting towns in the eastern Donbas region after making a series of gains in a rapid counter-offensive. In recent days, Ukraine's army has reclaimed swathes of occupied territory, forcing Russian troops to retreat. Mr. Zelensky said his forces were fortifying their hold over 8,000 square kilometers, 3,088 square miles, of retaken territory in the Kharkiv region. The precise scale of Ukraine's gains has not been verified by the BBC. He vowed to take back all Ukrainian territory still occupied by Russian forces. He said he did not know when this would happen, but that the truth is on our side. U.S. President Joe Biden said Ukraine had made significant gains. Mr. Biden said it was clear that the advance had enjoyed success, but cautioned that the offensive could be a long haul. While Russia still controls around a fifth of Ukraine's territory, towns in the Donbas that fell early in the war are now under threat from Kyiv's advancing forces, after failing to capture cities across the country, including the capital, Kyiv. Russia has been focusing on the Donbas, parts of which were already under the control of Russian-backed rebels before Russia launched its invasion this year. Andrei Marocco, military commander of the self-declared Luhansk People's Republic, one of two regions that make up the Donbas, told Russian state media that fighting had reached the borders of the territory, and Serhiy Haidai, the exiled Ukrainian head of the Luhansk region, said Ukrainian forces were engaging Russian troops on the outskirts of Lyman. There are fierce battles in Lyman now, which I think will last a few more days, Mr. Haidai said in a telegram post. Accounts of Russian torture emerge in liberated areas, shock and joy in newly liberated villages. A successful surprise attack, but danger still looms. Lyman fell to Russian forces after a protracted battle at the end of May. It sits less than 150 kilometers, 93 miles, away from the city of Donetsk, the capital of the self-declared Donetsk People's Republic. Its capture was a coup for Russian troops, giving Moscow control over a key east-west highway. In other areas, Ukrainian forces are said to have reached the Russian border, and Mr. Haidai said their capture of two towns, Izium and Kupiansk, could see supply lines to the Russian-held cities of Severodonetsk and Lysychansk severed. As Kyiv's forces move into previously occupied areas, allegations of Russian war crimes have started to emerge. Locals in the town of Balaklia told the BBC that Russian troops had tortured civilians at the town's police station during their occupation, while others recounted being electrocuted while in detention. The Kremlin has admitted that its forces have moved out of some eastern towns, but refused to call it a retreat, instead insisting that its forces were regrouping. On Monday, Moscow insisted that it would press on with its invasion until all the goals that were originally set are achieved. But the pace of the Ukrainian advance appears to have taken Russian forces by surprise, with reports of some of Moscow's forces abandoning their uniforms to blend in with civilians. In some areas, Russian teachers who moved to Ukrainian towns and cities after Moscow seized control were left behind by
the retreating troops, an unspecified number, have now been detained by Ukrainian forces, and Deputy Prime Minister Irina Vereshchuk has warned that they will face charges. Meanwhile, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz urged Russian President Vladimir Putin to re-enter negotiations with Ukraine
as soon as possible during a 90-minute phone call on Tuesday. A German government read out of the call said Mr. Scholz urged Mr. Putin and Quat to find a diplomatic solution as soon as possible, based on a ceasefire, a complete withdrawal of Russian troops, and respect for the territorial integrity
and sovereignty of Ukraine and Quat.